So our first speaker is Ella D'Amato, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Not on the High Street. Ella is going to talk about a subject that is very close to my heart, and I think one that is very close to most people's heart, which is about why empathy is so important and why it works. I think we've seen a renewed focus on empathy in the US from the Biden-Harris kind of coming administration. We've seen a lot more empathy around people and humanity with COVID across the world. But is marketing really thinking about how it delivers empathy and what it does? So we're going to turn over to Ella, who's going to bring that to life, and then I'll do a quick Q&A with her at the end. So Ella, welcome to MadFest.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you. It's lovely to see you. And I must start by saying a massive thank you to Ian and Dan and the team for having me for today, but also for putting on an event like this. I think whilst so many of us are watching and working virtually, it's so important that we still connect with each other and that we learn from each other. So thank you very much, Ian and Dan. As Paul said, I'm going to talk today about empathy and why it's so important as marketeers to put ourselves into the shoes of our customers. And if we do this, how it's really going to help us emerge stronger in 2021. And I'm going to talk to you about Not on the High Street and why it's so important to our brand and how we put it at the heart of everything we do across all of our business. But let me start by talking to you about who Not on the High Street is. So Not on the High Street was founded back in 2006 by Holly and Sophie, and they were on a mission to give small businesses all up and down the country a platform where they could show their amazing creativity, their unique products, and create a business doing something that they love. They wanted to make sure people could be the most thoughtful version of themselves and provide a destination for customers where they could find something truly, truly different. Today, fast forward, we have over 5,000 of the country's best small creative businesses, and we're connecting them with over 3 million customers. So this has been a fast-growing business, and I want to talk to you about why we've put emotion right in the middle. And we talk about the E in e-commerce standing for emotion, emotional commerce. And why do we think that's important? Well, actually, according to Harvard, 95% of our buying decisions are based on emotion. Oh dear, I've got this slide stopped again. Here we go. This is good for business because emotionally connected customers have a much bigger lifetime value, and they stay with a brand on average over 5 years in comparison to 3.4, and they will recommend brands at much higher rates. Essentially, emotion is the difference, and it leads to action rather than to conclusion. And we believe we've become somewhat experts in driving emotion by using empathy at the heart of what we do. We call ourselves, the brand team and the creative team, the Emotioneers. And before we do anything in terms of our marketing, we're putting ourselves into the shoes of our customers, or in our case, our partners, our small business partners. Now, how do we do that? It's very well to say that. How do you do that in terms of your planning? How do you do that in your communications? Well, it goes without saying that one of the most amazing tools we have when we look after brands is the tone of voice. So as Maya beautifully puts it, people don't always remember what you say or even what you do, but they do remember how you've made them feel. And I guess you guys are all consumers, you are buying things all the time. Think about the brands that you really love. Think about the sites that you go and visit. Why do you go and visit them? It will be because they're adding value, as that previous speaker in that video was just saying, or because they're connecting with you on an emotional level. And that might mean that in our emails, we're not just always trying to sell things all the time. It's about building up a relationship with your customer and understanding how they're feeling, what they need. Here's an example. I think most of us are in need of a duvet day at the moment, but making sure our tone of voice is empathetic, is emotive. It might be intelligent or witty, warm and inclusive, passionate, positive, authentic, and really distinctive to your brand. Now, of course, you can only do that if your whole brand lives and breathes this, if it really connects. And I wanted to share an example I saw last night. Actually, the team sent this to me, and I thought it was brilliant and a really good example of how tone of voice can really, really differentiate you and show empathy and just build a human connection. So if you haven't seen this already, go on to Innocent's Facebook page. Now, they are a brand. I always say when we grow up, we want to be just like Innocent. Like, they literally stick to their tone of voice brilliantly. This particular post is on their Facebook, and you can apply to have your pet made into a little knitted animal. You can also get those or not on the high street. And then here they've really made the T's and C's laugh out loud. So another example, not just us, but another brand that really, really lives and breathes this. Now, it's not just tone of voice, obviously, although that's one of your superpowers to build empathy. It's about the imagery that you use. Now, we've been on quite a journey with our imagery at Not on the High Street. I guess to Nick TBWA's line where they zig, they zag, most of e-commerce has gone down the cutout route. And you can understand why. It's efficient, you can scale it. Actually, what we found at Not on the High Street is when we were working with our small business partners to do that, we were actually stripping out the emotion, the human connection by doing that. So now what you'll see from a brand perspective and all over our site actually is lifestyle imagery, where customers can really connect with the picture. They can see the product in situ. We always try and show whether it's people or pets, children. We're living in a world where loads of people are on their phones on Instagram day in, day out, and they've got used to this lifestyle. And you want to be a brand that we call ourselves the Not on the High Street family. We want people to want to be part of our extended family. And one of the things we do and we spend a lot of time and effort on is working with our small business community to help them with their photography, and also doing that ourselves so that we stay true to the brand and we can really show empathy in our images as well as our tone. Now, specifically, I thought it might be quite interesting to show some examples of how showing empathy in a crisis is really, really important. And that is ultimately what we have been in this year, obviously. Now, it goes without saying, it's really important to listen. At the start of the pandemic and when we went into lockdown, we as a team completely pivoted our communications, as I'm sure many of you did. But the first thing to be able to do that was we just had to stop and listen and think, how is everybody feeling right now? And obviously the landscape was so unknown, but we did that. And we created some pillars that we said that we would stay true to. Things like the number one thing being empathy. Like, let's not put things out just because it might suit our business, but let's really connect with how the customer's feeling. And one of the things we saw more than ever was agility. So that pivot, and we're privileged that we work with these 5,000 amazing small creative businesses, because what we saw them do more than ever before was pivot their businesses. They needed to keep going. People needed to support small businesses, but they also needed to create products that would resonate. So let me give you a few examples of what happened. So at the start of lockdown, searches for the term hug actually went up 5,669% in that first month. People were searching for rainbow products because they wanted to support the NHS. 1,835% searches for rainbow products. Letterbox gifts, people still wanted to emotionally connect. There were still birthdays going on. People were still having children. So letterbox gifts went up over 2,000%. And what you can see here in the middle is the rainbow product. So we went out to the community daily to talk to them about what we were seeing come through in terms of insight and trends. And at the start, within a month, we had over 3,000 rainbow products because the community got behind it. So listen to your customer and to your partners, be agile, and above all, be kind through that time. We knew that we really needed to champion our small business partners. They needed us more than anything else. So some of the things we did in the business is we set up legal clinics and people clinics for them so they could help manage their teams and understand what was available from the government. As we said, we were sharing data daily with them, and weekly I was doing webinars to them to make sure that they felt really connected. And we're a business that has a lot of data and insight. So the more we could share that with them, the more reassured they felt, and the more they could pivot their business if that was necessary. So we wanted to help them pivot. We also waived our joining fee, so more new businesses could come onto our site and get the exposure that they were craving and needed, because maybe their local high street shop had shut down as a result of lockdown. But above all, we invested in the brand and we invested in marketing to shine a light on this amazing small business army. So we worked with our agency, Friendly Giants, who again were phenomenal because they dropped everything, were agile, pivoted, and within 10 days we made a film to support small businesses, and our small businesses sent in loads of content, and we put it out on our social channels as a rallying cry to support them. It turns out to be our best piece of social content we've ever put out, and then we did a deal with ITV and we got it on telly. Whilst everyone else was taking off their brand spend, we knew this was a moment to get out there and really support our small business partners. But you can't do all of this for your customers or for your partners if you're not also looking after your team. So I wanted to end today just with talking more about what we did in-house actually at Not on the High Street. Because as any marketer, you know, word of mouth is the most important thing. You know that you need to look after your team, and you know that you need to show empathy there. And obviously we were all adapting to lockdown, to working from home. We're a very, as you can see, emotional business. We love being together. So how are we going to cope? Well, as an executive team, we straight away made some decisions. Daily stand-ups, we turned our company meeting into every week on a Thursday so that we could all connect with each other. We also recognised that people wanted to give back this year. It wasn't just a year of just working all the time. People felt they wanted to maybe help the NHS or look after a loved one. So we gave everybody 3 hours off a week so that they could volunteer or they could spend a bit more time with their family, which again, we were just putting ourselves into our own shoes. What did we need? What did we want to help us get through this? And then really practical things like office equipment. We're all at home, so we gave a work from home budget. Now we've come into winter, we're giving money out to people to help with their heating bills. It's been a tough year for everyone, whether that be your customer, your partner, or your team. And another important thing we did was we gave everybody a mental health day off. Again, to show empathy of how people are feeling. It's so important when everyone's on these video calls all day. You know, how do we make people stop and look after themselves? So everybody in the business no one's allowed meetings 12 till 1. You're not allowed, if you get caught, the executive get fined. So you're not allowed to have a meeting so that everybody knows they have that hour. And then that mental health day was really important. And we gave everyone a budget as well, a £40 budget, so that they could have a massage or treat their family to a nice meal. So empathy should run through all your business, whether that's your team, whether that's the people you partner with. How have you looked after your agencies through this? You know, they are worried. You know, this is a really difficult landscape for them. How are you in partnership with them? And how are you communicating with them? And how are you looking after them? And then how are you looking after your customers? Remember, our job is to emotionally connect, so we stay memorable and so that they want to be a brand that you want to connect with, not just to sell. So for us, it's been an incredible year of learning. Emotion's always been at the heart of our business. It's been everything that we do, but it's been dialed up to a huge level this year so that we can really, really stay true as a brand and look after all the people that are connected with us. And I want to say I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties at the beginning. And I hope that you stayed with this. And I'm more than happy with Paul to answer any questions anyone might have.
Thank you, Ella, and well done for dealing with the technical difficulties. Apologies about that. You did a great job, and I love the fact that you talked about all of the various stakeholders you need to think about when it comes to empathy, not just the customers, but obviously your own staff and everyone else as well. Some businesses probably don't have that emotional connection or empathy from the leadership team down. So what advice would you give to companies that are maybe very product-led or very B2B orientated? How can they bring empathy into their marketing?
Well, we're all humans. So whether you're B2B or whether you are product-led, we're all humans. Therefore, we all have emotion. And those Harvard Business School, read those studies. It proves that it works. So whatever business you're in, talk to your leadership team, go with proof of how it can work. And I used to look after an agency before I went client side. And when we were connecting with potential clients, they bought the team.
Yeah.
They bought the services as well, but they really bought the team and how you were different and how could you work together. So also on the client side, I really encourage you to raise the awareness of why it matters. You need to attract talent in your businesses, and you need to, whether you're B2B or B2C, build a connection, and emotion and empathy can really help you do that.
Yeah, I think that's an absolutely great point. Look, Ella, unfortunately, because we had a bit of a slow start, we're going to have to move on. But I have loads of other questions, and maybe if people have other questions, they can reach out to you on LinkedIn or something. But thank you so much for kicking us off this morning.